You are listening to Vocabulary Builder from Perfect English with Danny. Learn new words every day. Welcome to a new episode of Vocabulary Builder from Perfect English with Danny. Today we're going to continue talking about those adjectives we use to describe people's personalities. We're here to learn 4 more new words today, and I have Joe and Ben with me to help me out with the words themselves and with the translations of the words. So let's get to it and let's see what words we have to learn for today. Today we have sociable, argumentative, cruel, and rude. So how do you feel about these words today, Joe?
Well, I guess I'm kind of familiar with the meanings of these words, but I might not be sure about one of them. So I guess I'll be asking some questions about it.
No problem. So without further ado, let's start with the first word, sociable. It is spelled S-O-C-I-A-B-L-E, sociable. Now, sociable, we're talking about people who are friendly and people who enjoy talking to other people. If you are friendly and you enjoy talking to other people, then you are a sociable person. Are you sociable, Joe?
Well, you can say that. I guess I'm pretty friendly and I like talking to people. I hate it when I'm on my own. I always try to make new friends, talk to people, and I'm usually nice and friendly. What do you think?
Well, I agree with that. Of course you are friendly and nice. And I would say that you are a sociable person. But do you know what, Joe? Some people confuse the word sociable with the word social. Do you have an idea what the difference between sociable and social is?
Well, to be honest, I used them pretty much the same way. I'm not gonna lie to you. I used to call people who are friendly and those who enjoy talking to other people social people instead of sociable. Isn't it the same?
Well, it's pretty much close, but actually, social is not a word we use to describe someone's personality. Social is different. Social means relating to society or the way society is organized. For example, we talk about social problems, social change, social conditions, etc. But when we want to describe people's personality, we don't say social, we say sociable.
Oh, I see. Well, to be honest, I didn't know about that.
So, Joe, can you think of an example about one of your friends who is sociable or is not that sociable?
Yeah, actually, I can think of one. One of my friends is not that sociable. He likes to keep to himself most of the time. He doesn't like to talk to anybody. And even when we try to invite him out to go with us to the movies or to any other place, he usually says no. He doesn't want to go with us. I'm not saying he's not nice, but he just likes to keep to himself. So I don't think he is a sociable person.
I agree. So let's move to Ben now and find out about the translations of sociable in the 5 different languages we're translating to. Hi, Ben. How are you today?
I'm fine, Danny. Thank you. Let's move right away to the translations of sociable. Sociable in French is sociable. In Spanish, it's sociable. In Italian, it's socievole. In Portuguese, it's sociável. And in Arabic, it's ijtimai. And that's it.
Thank you, Ben, for the translations. We'll get back to you for the translations of the other 3 words that we have today. And that brings me to the second word we have today, and that is argumentative. What do you think, Joe? Do you have an idea what that word means?
Well, when I try to understand new words, I always try to break them to smaller pieces so that I can understand them better, or at least relate them to ideas that I already know. So when I look at this long word, I think of argument. And when I think of argument, and argumentative is an adjective, I think about people who like to argue all the time. So argumentative for me is like that.
Well, that's pretty much it. This is exactly what argumentative means. Someone who is argumentative is always ready to disagree or start quarreling with other people. These people argue all the time, and most of the time it's not really worth it. And that is why it's not a positive adjective to be argumentative, because that means you argue all the time. And that's not a very cool thing about people. You know, we have a person everywhere who's argumentative, who doesn't like anything, who always has something negative to say about what we do or what we say.
Yeah, I can relate to that. I know many people from work who are argumentative. They just want to find a problem to talk about or something to argue about. It's kind of bothering. People should be a little bit more easygoing and more friendly, even when they want to disagree with you. It shouldn't be like all the time for no good reason. And the way they do it should be nice.
I agree with that. But we can't escape the fact that some people are argumentative. While it might be useful in few cases where you have to disagree and quarrel, especially if you're defending your rights, but most of the time it's not a very nice thing to be just argumentative, to argue all the time. And before we go to Ben, let's find out how we can spell argumentative. Argumentative is spelled Argumentive. It's a long word. Argumentative. And now let's move to Ben for the translations of argumentative in our 5 languages.
So, argumentative in French is querelleur, in Spanish is discutidor, in Italian it's polemico, in Portuguese is argumentativo, and in Arabic it's jadali.
Thank you, Ben. And now we will move to the next word, cruel. Cruel is spelled C-R-U-E-L. Cruel. Have you ever been cruel before, Joe?
Well, it seems like a trick question. You want me to say yes, but I don't think that's a good thing to be cruel, isn't it?
Well, it's not a good thing, of course, to be cruel. Cruel is definitely a negative word. Nobody wants to be cruel. You don't want to be cruel. We have to be kind most of the time. Or at least if we can't be kind, we don't have to be cruel.
So what is the meaning of cruel?
When we say someone is cruel, that means this person deliberately causes pain or distress to people or animals. And we see that all the time. So it's good that you didn't answer, yes, I was cruel.
Well, actually, I've never been cruel. But sometimes I realize after I do something that it was cruel, and I usually apologize.
This is something important you mentioned here. When you say something is cruel, it could be intentional or not. Because when you do something and then you realize that it was a bad thing that caused pain or distress to people around you, you might feel sorry, as you just said, and you just go and apologize to these people. And that means that this thing you did was cruel. But I can't say that you are cruel as a personality adjective. If I want to say, what is Joe like? I wouldn't say Joe is a cruel person. Because when I say Joe is a cruel person, I mean that Joe deliberately causes pain or distress to people.
No, I never do that.
I know, and that's why I'm saying you might have done, actually all of us, if you think about it, we might have done something cruel back in our lives, but that's not part of our personality. For some people, of course it is. The key thing is whether you're doing this deliberately or not. If a person does that deliberately, and if he or she does that all the time on purpose, we can easily say about this person that he or she is cruel. For example, we can say, can't you see that you're really frightening your little brother? Don't be so cruel. And that happens a lot between brothers, especially between big brother and young brother.
Yeah, you're right. I don't want to even start talking about my old brother.
Oh yeah, tell me about it. Do you think we've said enough about cruel?
Yeah, I guess we said all we need to say.
So now let's go to Ben. Ben, how about cruel? How does it translate to other languages?
Well, to be honest, cruel is pretty much the same in all languages, but it is just pronounced differently. It is cruel in French, cruel in Spanish, the same cruel in Portuguese, and in Italian it's crudele. It's a little bit different, but it's pretty much the same word. And in Arabic it's qasin.
Thank you very much, Ben. Now, there is even a word worse than cruel. If you say a person is cruel, it's of course very bad. But what is really extreme is when you say a person is sadistic. A sadistic person obtains pleasure from hurting other people and making them suffer physically or mentally. So this person is definitely cruel, but that's even beyond cruel. Sometimes it's even pathological, and this person needs professional help. So I hope you don't know a lot of cruel people or sadistic people, but let's face it, the world is full of them, unfortunately. But let's move to the next word and final word for today, and this word is rude. R-U-D-E, rude. So, Joe, any ideas?
Well, yeah, I know some people who are rude. You know, when they talk to you, they don't greet you, but when they just want something, they just ask you as if you were their own slave or servant or something. And when you ask them a question, they usually answer in an impolite way. They do a lot of impolite things. Yeah, I know a lot of rude people. And to be honest, there are more rude people nowadays than it used to be in the past.
Well, I can't say I disagree with that, but what can we do? Anyway, we're talking about rude. When do we call a person rude? When people are rude, they act in an impolite way towards other people or say impolite things about them. For example, we can say, she's always frank and direct, but she's never rude. You see, people can be frank, they tell the truth all the time, they're direct, they tell you what they want to tell you directly, but we said here she's never rude, she's not impolite, she does that in a very polite way. So that was about rude. Ben, what about how we translate the word rude?
Well, rude is grossier or impoli in French. It's maleducado in Spanish and maleducato in Italian. It is grosseiro in Portuguese, and it is fadh or qalil al-tahdhib in Arabic.
Thank you, Ben, for helping us out with the translation of these words. I really appreciate it.
Glad to be here.
And Joe, thank you very much for your insights, your good questions about the words, and your experiences when you talked about people who were either sociable, argumentative, cruel, or rude. So these were our 4 words for today. We're going to have more words tomorrow, and until the end of the week, just remember, we have the translation of these 4 words in 57 languages, and these are available in the description of the episode. And we'll continue until the end of the week talking about adjectives that describe people's personalities. So stay tuned, we have more adjectives to come. So on behalf of Joe and Ben, I say thank you very much for sticking with us today. I'll see you again in the next episode.